Hello everyone, hope we are all well and welcome back to another LathOnTour video. Obviously it's been a while guys, apologies for that. Had some stuff going on, finished uni exams for the year, travelled to a few places and been boozing pretty hard. So I've been giving myself a little bit of time off, but I'm back. Obviously it's a week away now till the Euro 2021 kicks off. Unbelievably excited, and what better way to get the channel back up and running. I've got a whole host of videos, obviously as you guys have seen by the title. Today we're going to be reviewing the 26-man squad that Southgate's picked for the England team. We're going to have a whole host of stuff coming your way guys. We're going to be ranking kits, having player analysis, live streams where we watch games together if you guys want to hop on and chat, and also potential contests and giveaways coming your way, so keep your eyes peeled for those. But yeah, like I said, a week away, thoroughly excited. It's a great chance for England to go well in a major tournament, and hopefully a lot of it's coming this way in the summer, and a lot of beers getting thrown around when Harry Kane slots in the 90th minute winner in the final. But without further ado, let's dive into the 26-man squad and give you my feedback on what I think about the team. Right, we're going to go straight in it and go with the goalkeepers. Obviously we've got three keepers that have been selected. First, Jordan Pickford, clear number one. I think he's been really good with Everton actually this season. He's obviously been the guy that we've had in major tournaments previously. Obviously had that heroic night against Colombia in the penalty shootout. He's a good leader. Obviously had a bit of an incident earlier in the year with Van Dijk and that collision, but he looks like the certified number one. I think obviously a few months ago there were questions if it'd be him or Pope or potential others, but I think it's solidified that he's going to be our number one. Don't think you can really complain. Like I said, been there at major tournaments before, and he's got the number one shirt, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does for England in this tournament. Then we're going to go to the second choice. Obviously this was probably going to be Nick Pope, but unfortunately obviously he picked up a knee injury this year for Burnley, and that means Dean Henderson is going to be that second choice goalkeeper. Obviously being back up at United behind De Gea, obviously kind of burst onto the scene with that season he had at Sheffield United. I thought it was quality that year, and it's just been unfortunate because he's such a high class keeper that playing second fiddle to De Gea at United has been frustrating. Hasn't got the 38 games under his belt the likes of Pickford have or your Popes have, and yeah, it's just a bit frustrating. Obviously he's had a few mistakes that have crept into his game when he's played in these big games without De Gea, if they've been resting him or if he's been injured. But I think as a second choice goalkeeper you've got to be confident in Dean Henderson and be happy that he's your man. Will he play any minutes? Hopefully not, because Pickford from minute one to the final one in the final hopefully will be our guy. So I'm not expecting to see any Henderson football, but if it comes to it, I'm fully trustworthy in having him as our second option. And then our final goalkeeper that has been selected is Sam Johnson. Obviously a guy that I really like. I was privileged enough to kind of watch him week in, week out when he was at Villa for a season on loan. Got us to the playoff final. Top keeper. Honestly kept us in so many games as a shot stopper, as a guy delivering the ball from the back. He just has everything. I've got a lot of time for this guy. I think he made the most saves in the Premier League this season for West Brom. I mean, it doesn't help with the defence they have, but a high-class keeper. I think he's a great option. I'm really happy that he's on the plane and is in this squad. And I think that going forward in these kind of international friendlies where they play their second-string kind of teams, he's a guy that really deserves an England cap. So, obviously, again, like Henderson, unlikely to see any minutes, but as a third option, a great guy, and I wouldn't pick any other three goalkeepers, obviously without Nick Pope. Obviously, Aaron Ramsdale was the guy that missed out from the provisional squad. I think it's fair enough. Again, high-class keeper. Been unfortunate in a couple of teams he's played in, a few relegations in the last couple of seasons, but got to be happy with those three, and no complaints from me. Yeah, let's move into the defenders where it gets a little bit more tricky. We're going to start with the controversial stuff. We're going to start with the four right backs. Now first, sorry, yeah, I do have a broken finger by the way, it's pretty filth. First, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now on Wednesday we played Austria in a friendly and he's picked up a quad injury, and the news has come out that he will not be fit to play any part in the 2021 Euros, which is a massive shame. Obviously a guy who brings a lot of fluidity, quality in a lot of different positions, both for Liverpool and England. Was a guy that was kind of on the cut line. Would he make it? Would he not into this 26? But even though he just made it, was obviously a great option to have. Highly talented set piece guy, balls in from the sideline. He's quick, he's agile, everything you really need in a right wing back or right back. I think he's kind of made this new era of defensive fullback. Like, you can't really get away with now just being a good defender. You've got to have that second string to your bow, and that's exactly what he's got with that talent pressing forward. And we've seen it now with the likes of Robertson and etc. that have just added that new dimension to being a fullback. Obviously now he's out, it allows another player to come into the squad. Do I think it'll be another defender? Probably not, given the options that Southgate left out from that provisional squad. But I understood the selection in the first place, even though he did have 4 right backs. Now, the other 3. Yes, they are all right backs, but they all kind of serve different purposes and can play different roles, positions, tactical plans that Southgate has. We're going to start with Kyle Walker because, in my opinion, Kyle Walker's the starting right back if we play a back 4, which I believe we will. Kyle Walker, obviously at Man City, he's been high class. They've completely dominated the league. He's quick, he's experienced, he's played in an England shirt a long time. He's also played in a central 3 for both Man City and England, which is huge. If we lose one of our central defenders, it's likely that we will move to a back 3 and Walker slips straight into that third role. I mean, he definitely plays in that central role because we've got other options at right back. So Kyle Walker for me is definite starter if it's 4 at the back or if it's 5 at the back. He either plays as your right back in your 4 or he plays as your right central back as a 5. So for me, Kyle Walker, dead cert starter. The other 2, we've got Kieran Trippier, La Liga winner with Atletico this year. Another quality guy, obviously brought a crazy moment against Croatia in that World Cup semi-final with that free kick. He's got a lot of talent in set pieces and a guy that has also played on the left-hand side of defence for Atletico and England before. So adds another option and asset to Southgate. Obviously you pick your best 11 in the positions they play, but you never know, tournament football, injuries happen, and having a little bit of flexibility with the likes of Trippier is obviously great to have. And for me, if we play Walker in the 5 at the back, in the central role, I have Trippier as my starting right wing back, just as a set piece option, given a potential player that we've left out of the squad is not there. So that's what I go. And then we've got Reef James, who is a high class young right wing back. He's more of your go forward guy. Again, if you're going to play 5 at the back, he is obviously your option because he's quick, he's agile, can play in the midfield if you need. He's a very good ball player. He completely had Raheem Sterling in his pocket all night long in the Champions League final. Another great talented fullback. We've got so much talent in this position, it's hard to not keep picking right backs. But for me, I just think he's probably our last option. If I'm being harsh, I know there's a lot of Reece James fans and I think he's class, I absolutely love him, but I just like a little bit more experience and tournament knowledge that Trippier brings if we go to a 5 at the back. 4 at the back, I'm starting Walker. We'll get the boring 2 done. Central defenders, it's got to be Maguire and Stones. It has to be. Maguire is your go-to guy. He's your dominant force. He's your strong guy in the air. He can play with the ball at his feet. Obviously, he's not got the most pace as a central defender, which is the issue if he comes up against the likes of the Mbappes and the Ronaldos, stretching the pitch and going over the top. Where we play those teams who might resort to a 3 at the back and have a Walker who's got a little bit more pace next to a Maguire to help him out. But Maguire, one of the first names on the tee sheet. John Stones, how good has John Stones been? Him and Ruben Diaz at City this year have been absolutely unstoppable. If you're keeping a guy like Aymeric Laporte out of your club team week in, week out, you're doing something right. And John Stones, again, I think he's a no-brainer that we play 4 at the back. Those 2 slot in straight into those centre-back roles. Our backup centre-backs that Southgate's picked are obviously Tyrone Mings, my Villa boy, very happy that he's there, and obviously Connor Cody. 2 similar footballers, 2 leaders, both have kind of waited a while to get their England shot in their late 20s. Now they've got it, they've both played really well when they've played for England. I'd say Mings more than Cody is probably prone to a mistake a bit more, so I'd probably say he's behind Cody in the pecking order to play in these games. There was a really good piece on a Monday Night Football where Neville and Carragher spoke about transitioning the England team depending on injuries, and they said who would be the worst player to lose? And Neville said really well that if we lose Maguire, it's almost a bigger loss than Harry Kane. We've got so much talent up front that we lose Maguire. He doesn't see us picking a back four without Maguire, which I completely agree with. I think to go with a Stones and a Cody or Mings is a big ask against some of these quality teams in this European Championship. You lose Maguire, I think we have to resort to a back three, where I think Cody fits in better probably because he's played it at Wolves. He's a little bit less prone to a mistake. And look, I love Tyrone. He's a Villa boy and I love him. But I think they're two good backup options that I love. But again, probably won't see any playing time unless injuries come into it. But again, two guys you can't really complain with being in that squad. Then we go to the left back role. Now in the defence that they've picked, we've got two left backs, but we've also got another guy who I'll speak about later who's classified as a forward who can play in this role. It's obviously Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell. For me, number one in this role is Luke Shaw. I think you have to just put your hand up and give full credit to what Luke Shaw's done this year. I think he's been absolutely quality. He turned up week one and looked like he was potentially pregnant with the amount of weight that he was carrying, but he's been class. He's completely redefined Man United's defence. He's been absolutely superb, both sides of the pitch, in defence and going forward. Got this burst of pace which has kind of come out of nowhere considering he did not look fit at all come game week one. He's battled through these injuries, he's battled through his managerial troubles that he's had with the likes of Van Gaal and not getting playing time, and it's just great to see. It's a great story. It's a real sort of buy into story that is great for English football in a major tournament that everyone can be a part of and love. So for me, Luke Shaw has that left back role sorted. Ben Chilwell is slightly different. He's kind of lost a little bit of that every 90 minutes at Chelsea with Tuchel coming in and Alonso getting a bit of time on that pitch. Obviously, he did play in the Champions League final and played really well and was kind of in the build-up to that goal that gave them the Champions League medal. And I think he's a high-class left-back. The only thing I don't like about him is his haircut. Too long on the back. But Ben Chilwell, another high-class left-back. I think he plays second fiddle to Luke Shaw. But again, if we end up playing five at the back, then he provides that option because he does like to stretch the pitch down the wing and has a good left foot on him. So an abundance of options in the defensive roles. Obviously, the guys that missed out from the provisional squad are Ben Godfrey and Ben White. Like I said, there's potential that they could come back given that Trent's now out of the squad. Two guys that are really good young footballers. Ben Godfrey's been one of the highlights of the season for me from Everton. Start of the year, 30 mil. Was not a fan of that. I thought 30 million's way overpaid for him, but he's completely proved me wrong. Been absolute quality for Everton. Can play on the left, can play in the middle. Yeah, a great option. Gonna not try and be too biased. Yeah, I would have liked to seen Ezri Konsa in a provisional squad. I think he's been quality for us. Not going to get too far into it because I don't want to be too biased, but that's my opinion. Honestly, personally, would not have changed that defensive options at all, apart from maybe not picked those four right backs, maybe not picked one of them, either Trent or Reef James, and I would have picked another midfielder, which we'll get onto now because we're going to dive into the midfield. And we have picked 5 midfielders in this class for the 2021 Euro squad. We're going to get the boring one out of the way first, Declan Rice. Must starter in my opinion. Obviously had a bit of an injury at the back end of the season for West Ham, came back in the last 3 games, played really well. He's been absolutely phenomenal for West Ham. He just dominates the pitch. He is not your classic central defensive or central midfielder who just passes the ball backwards and sideways. He looks to go forward. He's got good pace. He's got an absolute pinger of a peg on him, which we saw last year against Watford in a must-win game when he banged one from about 25 yards. He's obviously had a bit of penalty duties that he's had at West Ham, which could help come penalty shootouts potentially. I think he's just a high-class player. For me, has to start. Especially with the injury that we have to Jayden Henderson, who's our next midfielder that's selected in this squad. Interesting to see what they do with Hendo. Obviously, he hasn't played a lot of football recently. I'm hoping this Sunday we've got another friendly and hopefully we'll see some minutes for him there. I mean, whether it's just 20 minutes or 25 minutes, something, just give him some football just so we can have a little bit of confidence for him going into the tournament. Otherwise, it'll be tough to just throw him in that first game against Croatia. But you never know. Again, Jayden Henderson is a must pick. He's your leader. He's phenomenal. He's been to major tournaments before. He's won major trophies with Liverpool. He's a must-pick guy. His range of passing is absolutely second to none. And yeah, high-class guy. If they're both fit, I think they both start. And I'm going to say my third midfield starter, if those two are fit, is of course Mason Mount. And I am so happy Mason Mount is finally getting the credit he deserves. This guy is a high-class footballer. When he first kind of burst onto the England scene, there was a lot of chat about him being Southgate's love child, and the only reason he's getting picked is because Southgate loves him, and he's just proven everyone wrong. He just tears up week after week for Chelsea. Every time he plays for England, he's quality. He's now won the FA Cup and the Champions League with Chelsea this year. I just think he's just such a high-class player. I've got so much time for Mason Mount. So creative, agile, quick, can finish. Everything you want in a number 8, he has. And even myself, if Henderson's not fit, I'm happy for Mount to play deeper and pick maybe a more fluid guy in that number 8/10 role. But yeah, for me, Mason Mount's got to start. That then leaves a couple of guys who are kind of backups, I'd say. First, we're going to go Calvin Phillips. Now, yes, this hurts talking about Calvin Phillips being in the England squad because he's a Leeds United footballer. But yeah, Calvin Phillips, fair enough. He's had a few games for England. Southgate likes the look of him. He's obviously a guy that will be a support network to a Rice or a Henderson, especially if injuries creep up again, because he does play that kind of pivot role in the middle of the pitch and gives and goes. He's strong, he's physical. He's been a big part of why Leeds have been so successful this year. And yeah, I mean, you can't really complain with that selection either. I personally would not like to see him play any minutes. If an injury happens to Rice or Henderson, I'd rather see Mount drop deeper and not pick a Phillips. And if I would not pick a Phillips because I'd pick this guy ahead of him as well, I'd pick Jude Bellingham. And this is pretty outrageous, saying that you pick a 17-year-old in a Euro squad, even in a Euros team, and it just proves how good this guy is. Obviously, this is very painful to speak about as well. Him being a Blue, an ex-Birmingham City guy, had his shirt number retired at the age of 16. But yeah, this guy's just different gravy. He's going to be a special talent. If you're tearing up in the Champions League with Dortmund at the age of 17, you know you're doing something right. And just to prove that he's 17, but not the coaching staff, the other players, even the fans, if we see him run on the pitch and play in a big game against Portugal or Germany and we've got 20 minutes left and we need something to happen, we're not phased. We're not going, why are they chucking a 17-year-old? We're excited, we're happy, we're looking forward to seeing him on the pitch. So all credit to Jude Bellingham, high class player. I actually expect to see some minutes for him ahead of a likes of a Calvin Phillips. But again, can't really complain with that midfield. Obviously, some guys that have been left out from the provisional squad are Jesse Lingard, which is a really tough one. I mean, I said it probably come the end of the season, maybe 2 weeks prior to the end of the season, when he was really in form, that he was a must-select guy. He's been class. Southgate talks about picking people in form. He keeps scoring week in, week out for West Ham. He's a new player. He's kind of got that flair and skill and talent back that we saw in the World Cup when he was pinging them in against Panama. So to not see him there is really disappointing, but it is understandable at the same time because we've got so many creative guys in that role, which is a shame. And obviously James Ward-Prowse. Now this is the guy I was talking about that I would be picking in the squad for cover for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I say that because I think Trent is a selection which made sense, but also made sense in terms of set-piece delivery and corners, free kicks, etc. if he sees minutes. James Ward-Prowse brings that. This guy is one of the most talented set-piece takers I've ever seen in England. He tore us a new one against Villa this year when he whipped in 2 free kicks out of nowhere into the corner of the net. And I just think this guy is a guy that you have to have. Does he necessarily play every game? No, but just having another set-piece option, I think Ward-Prowse should be there. And I think we might see him take Trent's role. Don't take my word for that. And then we're going to move on to the forwards. Let's get him out of the way. Harry Kane. I mean, what can you say? I'm going to give my big statement that I've said to a few people, not to everyone. Harry Kane is the best English footballer I've ever seen in my lifetime. Statement, fact, in my opinion. No Shearer, no Rooney, no Lampard, Gerrard, Ashley Cole, John Terry, Harry Kane is the best English footballer I've ever seen in my lifetime. I think this guy is just high class. If Spurs are going to get rid of him, it has to be an obscene amount of money, because this guy is just different gravy. Honestly, I just love watching him play, and I'm going to stop climbing into him because I'll be here for hours. He's so good at football. Anyway, Kane's back up. DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Everton. Obviously had an absolute flyer at the start of the season, was banging goals left, right and centre. He's your classic number 9, your poacher, gets in the right positions, gets himself in the box. Cross balls, he just finds a way to find little 1-yard gaps off central defenders, puts the ball in the back of the net, exactly what you want. Obviously lost a little bit of form towards the back end of the season, but he's obviously doing something right if he's keeping the likes of Ings and Bamford and Watkins out of this squad. So I completely agree. DCL, backup number 9 if there's an injury to Kane. Then we're going to go to the 2 experienced guys that Southgate loves. We're going to go to Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling. I'm going to start with Sterling because you guys probably know that I am not a big Sterling fan. I think you can't argue with his statistics. I think, like, what can you say? He's got this ridiculous amount of goals for his age. I think no one's got the amount of goals as for the ages he's gone up in English football. He's obviously played in some unbelievably talented teams that have won a lot of trophies, both at Liverpool and City. And yeah, he's played with some high-class guys. He's obviously a guy that Southgate loves. Sees as his go-to guy. Obviously, we're playing Harry Kane as our number 9. We probably need some pace on the wings to stretch defences, and that's why we've kind of seen Rashford and Sterling being these guys in previous years. Unfortunately for me, I think we've got so much talent that I wouldn't start Sterling. I just think, I get you have to play your system, you've got to stretch the pitch, etc. You can't play 11 ball players, but I just think some of the talent that we've got can't afford to sit on the bench, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, who I'll mention later. For me, I love Sterling, can do a job, but for me, he doesn't start. Rashford, on the other hand, I think is probably a better chance to start. What Sterling brings is he can play on the right. Rashford's more suited to the left, which we've got a lot of people on the left. But yeah, I think Rashford's high class. I think he's quick, he's agile. The way he just cuts in on that right foot off the left and can just curl one in from anywhere. Obviously, bitterly disappointing that they couldn't get the job done against Villarreal in Europa League final. But Rashford again, he's played a lot of games for England, and these guys are pretty experienced. I think Sterling's actually got the most caps out of anyone in this squad with 61 for England. So don't be surprised if we see both of these two start, even though they've hit a bit of bad form. I think 1 in 16 and 1 in 17 goals for both of these two. But yeah. We're then going to go on to the more flair players in these positions that could take the wing role. First of all, we're going to start with Jayden Sancho. Probably the guy I know least about, I would say, or seen the least of in these forward players. Obviously, he played at Dortmund, again, tearing up in this league. Started pretty poorly, actually, with Dortmund. I look at some of the statistics and they fell off from the first 2 seasons that he's been playing there. But in the last 19 games, I think it was something like 12 goals and 9 assists for Dortmund. So obviously he hit a bit of form, which is good to see. A guy obviously we don't get to see week in, week out all the time because he doesn't play in the Premier League, but an option that we have to take. He's a great footballer, and it's going to be thereabouts in selection processes. Then we've got Phil Foden, the genius, the young kid that everyone wants to be like, everyone wants to watch. He's fun to watch. I had the privilege actually of watching, well I say privilege, it wasn't a privilege because it was against Villa, but I got the chance to watch him sit against Villa in the League Cup final last year, and I think this was the game that kind of really propelled him, was like, if this guy can do this in a Wembley final in front of 80,000 people, then he's ready for the big time, he's built for it. Obviously we've seen that, he's got more minutes at City this year. Every time he plays it looks like he scores. He's obviously got that left foot that allows him possibly to play on the right if we don't start Sterling, and just an unbelievable dribbler and finisher, and has everything that you want in a player like him. And now, alright, this is where I speak for an hour. Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish. This guy is just so good at football. I'm sorry, I just can't help it. I can't help it. When I say his name, I just smile. He is so good at football. Every time he puts on an England shirt, every time he puts on a Villa shirt, he just tears up. He is just phenomenal. I cannot put into words how good this guy is at football. people joke about him being on the floor all the time and whatever. It's because he gets 3 people around him, he gets hacked, he gets fouled. They have to put all their defensive effort on Grealish. And this is why I think he has to play. If you play international football and you've got the likes of Sterling, your Rashfords, your Kanes, your Calvert-Lewins, your Fodens, if Grealish is taking 3 defenders out of the game, that means one thing. There are 1 or 2 strikers, attackers, who have got space because they're not being marked. That is what Grealish brings. I think, I'm not going to blabber on. For me, he is a starter. Whether that's in a number 10 role, which it won't be because that's not where Southgate plays him. But on that left wing, I think he has to start. I think it's a no-brainer. Obviously, everyone loves Foden. I think with the way we play with Harry Kane at number 9, we probably need 1 player to stretch the pitch, which I see being either Rashford or Sterling, and then you pick one of Foden or Grealish. For me, I pick Grealish. I bring Foden on after 60 or 70 minutes, maybe taking off one of the defensive midfielders, depending on how the game's going. But for me, Grealish is a must pick. He comes back for the last 2 games for Villa, against Spurs and Chelsea. We win both. Just he's different gravy, and for me, is a must pick. But yeah, last man we're going to talk about is Bakayo Saka. Now, what a talented young guy this is. A very, very young talent. Again, 19 years of age. Has been phenomenal in a kind of tricky, sticky season for Arsenal. But yeah, it's been one of those guys that stepped up week in, week out. Obviously, was absolutely delighted for him on Wednesday to get his first England goal against Austria in that 1-0 win. And yeah, he's just a great talent. He's a guy that is really good to have. Will he play loads of minutes? Not sure. But again, like I said earlier, he adds that left-back role in case of Shaw or Chilwell playing, and I don't know, we're trying to be more attacking and he slots into the left wing-back role and we're chasing a goal at the end of the game. But I think there's nothing you can really say apart from fair play, and he deserves that spot. Obviously, we've got a few lads that have missed out. Mason Greenwood obviously has missed out from the provisional squad from injury, which is a real shame because I think he would be there with the finishing ability that he has. And obviously gutted that Ollie Watkins isn't there. I mean, I can't really complain. I think it's fair enough. We've got so much talent up there. I was just really happy that he was in the provisional squad in the first place, ahead of Bamford. But yeah, just so much talent. I honestly, I'm confident, but I'm nervous, excited, scared. I don't know what I'm feeling at the minute. I think when it comes to that first game against Croatia, if we can just do the job against Croatia, settle the nerves, then we'll be all right. But you know what it's like with England. It's never easy. It's never done easily. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the 26. Obviously, it's been pretty clear what I think about the 11. I'll quickly run through what my 11 would be for the first game against Croatia, which would be Jordan Pickford in goal. I'm playing 4 at the back. I'm going to be playing Luke Shaw, Maguire, Stones, Kyle Walker. Henderson's fit. I'm picking Rice, Henderson, Mount. Picking Kane, number 9. I'm picking Jack on the left. Oh, this is painful. My heart and wanting to watch fun football wants to pick Foden, but I don't think we can afford to do that. I think we need at least one guy who's going to stretch the pitch. Sterling or Rashford. Rashford's better on the left. Sterling is played on the right. I think Southgate picks Sterling because he's experienced. He's the go-to guy. I think he picks Sterling. So that's the 11 I'm going to say. Kind of my team, kind of Southgate's team. Obviously, we've got so much talent that I don't think you can complain about whatever 11 he picks. But that's my opinion on the 26 that's been selected. Let me know what you guys think. I'm confident. Are you guys confident? Let me know. Drop in the comments a guy that you would have in the squad that isn't there, or a guy that's in the squad that you wouldn't have there, and if you guys think that we've got actual chance to win this. But that's the end of the video today. Like I said, we've got a lot of videos and content coming. If you want any specific videos, let me know, message me, DM me. But yeah, that's it for now, guys. See you soon, and it's coming home, baby.